For anybody who is on a health and wellness journey, a lot of times you pay attention to your food. You may pay attention to things like mindfulness, meditation, other forms of self-care. But are you paying attention to how you move your body? And it turns out that is so important, and so many of us don't pay attention to it. So I am just delighted to be chatting today with my dear friend, Laura, who is the woman who taught me how to crawl. Hold on to that thought. I'm going to tell you a little bit about her, and then we're going to come back and discuss that. So Laura Coleman Waite is the owner and founder of Just Muscles. She is a 26-year personal virtual trainer and blogger who specializes in injury recovery. Her mom was diagnosed with lung cancer when she was 21, and mom was not a smoker, but everyone around her was. Her will to live was stripped away because of the pain she was in, and she died 2 years later. Laura ran away from Oregon to San Diego because of the pain she was in, met a man by the name of Pete. He taught her how to watch people move, how to identify muscles that were not working, and help lots of people recover from back pain, even though they thought they were at the end of their rope. And coming soon, she is going to have small group programs on hackyourbackpain.com. Laura, yay, you're here.
Yay! Thanks for having me.
I'm so excited to chat. Well, first of all, I always love talking with you, but I'm so excited to talk with you. And I am not ashamed to admit that as an adult, I had to learn to crawl. Like, apparently, I did not learn how to crawl when I was a baby.
Isn't that so interesting? And the problem with that is that there are these big, powerful muscles in your hips that develop or come onto your brain's radar when you are a baby and when you crawl. And if you don't get those muscles on your brain's radar of available muscles, then they just sit there and wait for you until you're going to. So for your case, they waited however long.
A long time.
Decades?
5 decades. Yes, absolutely. And the funny thing is, first of all, I've become an advocate for crawling. So a friend of
crawling, that's so fantastic.
a friend of one of my daughters had a baby and announced at 6 months, she's trying to stand. I don't think she's going to crawl. I'm like, you make that baby crawl.
Knock her over.
The thing that's so funny to me is I had no idea how hard it was. And you and I have talked about this before, but because you are my movement specialist and you've helped me improve my gait, you've helped me discover those hip flexors. But when I was first learning how to crawl, I'm literally there on the floor on camera, and you're like opposite knee, opposite arm. And my brain is frozen and I am literally sweating, trying to figure out how to do that. I can crawl now, and I'm actually pretty fast. I can go forward and backwards. I'm very proud of myself.
And backwards.
But it was hard. And so why is it so difficult for us to learn how to use our muscles in different ways if we are not used to doing that?
In the hip flexors case, I think it's because there's such an internal muscle, and you have about this much real estate on the front of your body that you can feel them work or actually have a sense of whether or not they are providing any movement for you. If you don't know exactly where that spot is, because not a lot of real estate externally, then it's going to be difficult for you to pin it down. And I've had arguments with lots of people, really smart people, doctors, who have said, this patient of mine has hip flexor strain, and I'll say, okay, show me. And they point to where the quad attaches, and I'll say, okay, the quad is a secondary hip flexor. The quad is the second choice to pick the leg up off the ground, but the hip flexor is a little medial to that. And it's just, everybody gets it mixed up. Everybody does. So that's one of my favorite things to do, is to whip out the old anatomy app and show people where it is that this muscle is, what it does, what it looks like when it moves. And the other problem with hip flexors is that a lot of people spend their day sitting, and sitting is hip flexion. So whenever you flex a joint, you bring the two parts of the joint closer together. So if you bring the two attachment points of those muscles together, the brain considers it contracted. And you have to then remember that all muscles have their antagonistic friend on the other side of the body. So if you constantly have this hip flexor muscle contracted, then its antagonist in some planes is the glute. So now you stand up and now you've got a hip flexor that's not picking your leg up off the ground. It's just positionally shortened. And then it's knocked out the glute. So now you've got these two powerhouse muscles in your hips, and they're not really working for you.
Yeah.
So then your body's like, okay, well, no problem. We've got some backup systems here. Don't worry. So I think the hard part is that you start to get used to using the backup systems more than that. So the quad, the front of the thigh, is the body's second choice to pick the leg up off the ground. And then there's the people in the world that get shin splints because they're on third string muscle to pick the leg up off the ground. And then they get shin splints because those muscles aren't very big and they're the furthest from the center of the body. And that makes your shin super mad. Or in some case, like I have a client who's been battling what she thought was knee pain. And really, it's just the bottom of the shin right at the edge at the bottom of her knee. And that's what's really bugging her. And I said, you've been trying to pick up your leg with your shin this whole time, rather than using a really nicely centrally located muscle that's designed to do it in your body's first choice. And she, like you, needed to learn to crawl to refresh her brain on what it was that was in there that was available to work. It's so hidden. It's so deep. You really have to know your anatomy. And that, again, that's my favorite thing to do is say, I spend a lot of time with my friend, Mr. Muscle Guy, and here's the muscle and here's what it looks like. And here's what it does. And okay, so now we got to find it and we got to get it to work. Yeah.
And I love that you have solutions too, because when we first started working together, I write, I do consulting, I spend a lot of time at a desk. And we had talked about a standing desk, but I really didn't want to buy. I love my desk. I didn't want to buy an attachment for the top of it. And you even had a workaround for that. And so now, every now and then, it's I've been sitting too long and I move my chair out of the way and I kneel in front of my desk and I work that way. So I'm stretching myself out a little bit. I'm not constantly in that L shape. And so I love that you have workarounds to help people understand how to get better movement so that we're not always in the same pattern all the time.
Yeah, that's the nice thing is there's a million ways to do it. And so if something doesn't work for you, so for instance, if you had sore knees, then I'd say, all right, then keep a blanket nearby and let's toss a blanket underneath those knees so that it's easier for you to kneel if you're going to stay at your desk and you didn't want to do the standing up desk. But it's interesting to me because the standing thing doesn't even have to be all day, every day. I certainly don't want one extreme or the other. They did a study on London bus, did I tell you about this already? About London bus conductors and London bus drivers. And they measured their heart rate and they measured what their calorie expenditure was, which wasn't really even my interest in the study, but I thought that was fascinating. So they found that the London bus conductors, so the guys that stand, and it's only 3 or 4 hours, 3 or 4 days a week, those guys had 0.7 calorie burn and maybe 10 beats higher a day in terms of heart rate. So their heart rate was about 10 beats higher and they burned 0.7 calories more a minute. That doesn't sound like a lot, but over the years, apparently it's the equivalent of 3 marathons. And so you could run 3 marathons, or you could just stand up 3 or 4 hours a day, 3 or 4 days a week, and achieve the same thing. There's lots of advantages to standing, not only getting those muscles long again, so they're not positionally contracted all the time, but there's some metabolic ramifications too. Knock yourself out, go run a bunch of marathons, or you just stand up.
There you go. And again, like I said, these are easy things to implement. It's not like you have to invest in a whole bunch of really expensive equipment. Like I love your tennis ball trick for the back. if you
I've
want to.
been sending them out. I've been sending them.
Oh, that's so cute.
I found some. I didn't want to send everybody. So normally I would take 2 tennis balls and put them in an old sock
That's
that
what
had
I
lost
have.
it. But I didn't want to send everybody old socks from our house. I found some stretchy material that happened to be smiley, and I wanted a bright colored fabric so that, because I have left many socks with tennis balls in airplane seats in particular, because it didn't contrast with the color of the seat very well. And I didn't notice it. No one around me noticed it. So I was like, okay, we got to do something bright. We got to do something cheerful. And tennis balls in a sock, this is such an easy trick. So you can just put it behind your back, or you can put it up and down. So you can put it on either side of your spine, or you can put it up and down and put it behind one shoulder. That works great if you're in a car, if you're at your desk, if you're sitting on the couch. I keep some by my bed. If I wake up in the middle of the night and my shoulder's mad, then I just throw it behind because it mushes into the mattress a little bit. The only time I'm not crazy about tennis balls in a sock sometimes is on the floor, because you lie down on the floor and you go, oh, this is supposed to be.
Yeah, no, I like my my roller cushion for, because my big challenge is, again, sitting. I do this a lot. And so I'm not right. And I'm not running around that much anymore. I'm home more than I used to be because of what's going on.
Yeah.
But I will, when I'm sitting in my car, I like to put it, I put it this way, and I go up from the bottom, and then I sit back in the car, and I have my car seat a little closer and more up so that I'm sitting straighter. I had not thought about using it on the sofa, so thank you for that. I'll have to make another set to have there. And I had not thought about taking it on the airplane, but that's an interesting idea. Not that I travel very far these
No,
days.
but airplane seats are so uncomfortable.
I
And the
know.
other thing that's nice, if you live in a warm climate, that if you put tennis balls in the middle of your back, it pulls you off the seat. And so it allows for airflow. So
Oh, that's a good idea.
just
Because
don't
it
get
gets hot here. Yeah, in Texas in the summer.
exactly. Yeah. So there's another bonus. But the basic idea with the tennis balls is that your middles of backs they're hard to break loose, and it's hard to know if they're tight because
Yeah.
the nerves that come out of the middle of the back are the ones that go to organs. And so if the middle of your back is tight, you hear people say, oh, my neck is sore, oh, my low back is sore, but you don't hear people say as much, oh, my mid back is sore.
Yeah.
And that's because there's not as much skeletal innervation, like the nerves don't go to the skeletal muscles. And middles of backs are tricky to let go. So tennis balls in a sock sort of segmentally breaks them up. That's a nice way to break them up. Inchworms, another favorite exercise of mine, that breaks up the middles of backs. And then twisting is good for breaking up the middle of the back. So
Yeah, that's so funny. I've learned that because since working with you, sometimes when I lie down at night, I shift my whole body while I'm lying there, and I find myself readjusting. And then the other thing is, if I've been sitting for a long time and maybe I've been just working so hard and so focused that I didn't take, and I normally do on the knees for 15-20 minutes at a time just to get a break.
yeah.
But if I've been sitting for a very long time, I find myself very stiff. And so I've learned, thanks to you, to start doing one of those, and I just gently hold on to my chair and twist as far as I can go. And usually, it didn't happen today, but usually I all of a sudden hear this little, it's
You're
really,
your own chiropractor. It's so handy.
there you go. And so now I know you do a lot with people who have back pain, and is that where your favorite muscle is?
I have 3 favorite muscles that I have pretty much exclusively focused on in 25 years. They are, I think, the most underappreciated, underutilized, and misunderstood in the whole body. And you know what those are. What would you say my 3 favorite are?
I don't remember. I'm going to say the psoas.
So we talked about the hip flexor. So that's
Hip flexors, right?
yeah. People get upset with their psoases all the time, but I think it's because they're stuck sitting. And if you can channel that power for good, then it's such a powerful muscle. You just don't want to miss out on it. You just got
Yeah.
to make sure that you have 2 of them and that they're both working for you really well. And thank you for breakfast. And
Max,
all the coworkers.
all the things. So hip flexors, psoas.
Psoas is one of the hip flexors.
Oh,
So
okay.
some people know their hip flexor by psoas because their massage therapist will have said, "Oh, your psoas is so tight," and I'm like, "But you need it to work. You can't
Yeah.
just get mad at it because it's tight. Why is it tight? Let's look at the why."
Oh, there you
So
go.
then, yeah. So lots of people settle in on their diagnosis and they're like, "I have arthritis," or "I have bursitis," or "I have tendonitis." And I'm like, okay, itis means inflammation of. Why? Why do you have inflammation? Why are you satisfied with a diagnosis? Let's keep going with the why. Why, for instance, do you have tendonitis? Do you suppose maybe that muscle is so tight that it's now yanking on the tendon and the place where it attaches? And that's
Wow.
all that tendon is desperately trying to tell you. Come on, help me. And then usually tendons attached to joints. So then you think you have a knee problem, like you have a joint problem. No, not sometimes, but sometimes it's just those muscles have gotten so tight and they start yanking on the place where they attach because every muscle only has so many contractile fibers.
Yeah.
And you max that out and you still insist on moving and your body's like, okay, but we're going to let you know that there's a problem.
You're not happy. Yeah.
So you're just going to have to translate what it's desperately trying to convey and don't just stop and take anti-inflammatories and call it good. That's not going to solve. That's not really a good long-term solution. We're looking for long-term solutions. We
Mhm.
want everybody to move and do all the things that they want to do for as long as they want to do them.
And the funny thing is, so I recently had foot surgery. And prior to the foot surgery, I obviously was walking for exercise. I hope to be getting back to that soon. And one of the things that I noticed is since working with you, my stride is very different. I don't know, like I didn't measure before, so I don't know if it's that my stride is longer, but I definitely feel when I'm out on the walking paths in my community that it's more of a glide. I feel like I'm faster and I feel like it's a smoother stride. So that's cool.
That's super cool. That's what I always want to hear is that when you get these big, powerful hip muscles working, so the hip flexor, the glute, and the hamstring in particular, those are my big 3. When those are working, imagine trying to just move without them. Those are
Yeah.
3 big, powerful muscles to be missing out on. It's a lot of metabolism to be missing out of. That's a lot of strength to be missing out on. That's a lot of muscle mass not working in your favor. And that's when people start to feel old. They're like, oh, well, I am, well, how I get ages all the time. I am 25. I'm like, what?
That's so funny.
Different than when I was in high school. I'm like, oh, okay, wait till
Yeah.
you're 50. It's going to get better. No. And I think that most people subconsciously operate on the principle that most of their muscles are working most of the time. And I'm just here to tell you that's just not true.
Yeah.
Especially when you take into consideration that all muscles have an antagonistic best friend. So if the front of your body, which is where all the things happen, like this is where you work, this is where you eat, this is where you drive, this is you're on your computer, this is where you sleep. Everybody curls up into a little ball when they sleep. The whole front of the body is going to get super strong, which means that the whole backside of the body is just going to get knocked into waiting for their turn. That's basically what they're doing. It's waiting for their turn. You
Wow.
walk around in a bicep contraction and your biceps tight and your biceps tight and your biceps tight. You pick up a small child, you pick up groceries, you throw the dog food on your shoulder, whatever it is, bicep, and your triceps like,
I know. That's so funny. More
this, then your tricep would be stronger and your bicep would be like, when's it my turn? But that isn't the case. So, lots of people complain about triceps. I'm like, first of all, look at your shoulder position. But second of all, if you're doing tons of biceps, just as part of your natural day, then of course your tricep has to be knocked into submission. That's the nature of that relationship. So very fixable.
I was going to say, this is such an underserved part of taking care of ourselves, because it's not like you go to the doctor and they say, oh, lose weight, stop smoking, whatever. I have never been to a doctor who said, oh, how are you using your muscles or paying attention to muscle patterns, even if I've come in with certain health challenges. So I love that you're talking about antagonistic muscle groups and taking care of all of your body, not just the parts that we think, because we tend to, I think, move on autopilot. We think, oh, I know how to walk, I'm good, I know how to do everything. And we don't realize that there's more. Like the other thing, one more thing, and then I'll let you go. But because I know your breakfast is sitting there.
I'm good.
One more thing that I wanted to say, which is so funny, because my husband, when he first saw me doing this, he was like, what are you doing? I'm like, Laura makes me walk sideways. And so several times a day, I sit there and I do my step to step sideways, and then I go back the other way, and I just walk back and forth. And I especially to do it when I'm brushing my teeth, because that feels like a really good multi-purpose use of time.
Yeah,
but
that's such good use of.
And it's so funny because who, except for you, who ever talks about walking sideways?
I know. What I think, again, what people don't realize is that the glute fibers actually run this direction, like quads up and down, hamstrings up and down, but glutes run this direction. And so if you don't move in the natural direction that the fibers run, they're not going to fire. And so all of my straight ahead sporters struggle with this. All my walkers, all my runners, all my bikers, all my swimmers, all my straight ahead sporters have difficulty getting those glutes to tap into, because their sport doesn't naturally engage those fibers in the directions they want to go. So when I used to work in a club, I would put people on treadmills, and I'd put it at about 5 degrees incline, and we'd go 0.8 miles an hour to learn how to walk sideways, because it was such a foreign concept to most people, and you can't do it fast. You got to go really slow. So I had this woman who lived in a small town south of Portland called Corvallis, where Oregon State is. And she came up for an appointment, this is years ago. And I taught her to walk sideways on the treadmill. And I said, okay, when you go home, you don't have to have a treadmill. You can do it just around the house or through the neighborhood or whatever, but use it as a tool, because when people start to feel off balance, it's generally because the things that allow them to move something other than straight ahead aren't working. And so she came back the next week and she said, Laura, people don't walk sideways in Corvallis. They don't. I said, couldn't you do it in the comfort of your own home? Couldn't you just walk sideways around your kitchen island, or while you're brushing your teeth?
Or back and forth across the bathroom.
Yeah, exactly. Just build it into your day a little bit. And she said, okay. She said, I see people up here doing it. I'm like, because they're stuck with me.
They've been working with me. There's a whole sideways walking community in Portland.
It's funny. I have a new client in Connecticut, and she tried it. She tried to integrate it because her back was bugging her, and it's a great way to get your glutes to work on the fly. And so she was out for a walk run, and her back started to bug her, and she remembered that I'd said, when life isn't going well straight ahead, try sideways. So she spun sideways and she said, I am positive the neighbors think I'm crazy. And I said, you assume everyone's sitting by their front window, peering out at everyone looking outside. I really don't think that's the case. I think they really are just kind of going about their day. And if you walk by sideways, they won't even notice. It'll be okay. Same thing with the weight room. I used to say with the mirrors, I had women who didn't like to go in the weight room, and they're like, it's so intimidating. There's all these men in there grunting and throwing weights around. And I'm like, they're so busy staring at themselves in the mirror that you could do cartwheels down the middle of the weight room and no one
Nobody
would
would
notice.
notice.
Yeah. It's okay. No one notices. I do get some funny looks because I'll do it mid-run out on trails because my knee will hurt or my back will hurt or whatever. And I'm like, so I did my poor running group is used to it now that I'm like, hey guys, just lost my left glute, got to spin sideways for a sec. And they're like, okay. Inevitably somebody will say, yeah, my glute isn't working very well either. It's probably good that I go. Yeah.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
And I love that quote. I'm going to figure out a way to share it. When life isn't going well, straight ahead, try sideways. So fabulous. That's so fabulous. With full credit to you, of course. Anyhow, Laura, it has just been fabulous to chat with you. Thank you so much. And I am going to put the links to your websites down below. Is there any other way or anything else that people should know if they wanted to get in touch with you?
I'm on Instagram at Laura.Coleman27. Not particularly memorable, but that's what my children set up for me years ago. So I've just rolled with it. And I will be having this small group program coming out. I'm in the beta phase right now, working out the details, coming out in January. So I will be making announcements about that soon, but I will put that on the Just website so that if you care to join, I would love to have you. And we will be talking about all of these muscles that Mira and I were discussing today, because honestly, I keep trying to change my mind and find a different way to do it, and nothing works as well. I'm sticking to it.
Been working for a while, so yeah, that's so great. It was fabulous to talk with you. Thank you so much for sharing your wisdom and your wonderful happy spirit. And folks, thanks for joining us, listening in on the conversation. Yes, and please make sure to subscribe down below. And if you hit that bell, you'll find out when we have more wonderful interviews like this one. Take care. Have a beautiful day.